Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@usaprepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, blissed? Alex is engineering the broadcast. Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. Okay, class, if you'd like to call us, Dr. Shealy's with us for 2 hours on Mondays. 866-582-9933, 866-582-9933. Telephone listen line is up and running, 605-477-3249. Dr. Shealy, I was talking with Alex today, and he mentioned stomach flu. But that's just a generic term. Vomiting. It went on for a day. It's over. Is that something that we can treat?
Well, of course, if I had it, I would instantly run into the clinic and get 100 grams of vitamin C IV. Without that, I don't know. Castor oil pack over the abdomen may help. You can't take much vitamin C when you're always vomiting.
Right.
I don't really. The best thing is to keep your immune system strong as long as you can and avoid those things.
Okay. In the meantime, once the vomiting stops, as it has, do you recommend probiotics? Do you recommend?
Definitely probiotics, of course, because things have to be out of balance once you've had whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then I also recommend getting immediately on vitamin D3 if you weren't already,
okay.
And vitamin C and astaxanthin.
Astaxanthin, vitamin C, and how much vitamin C once the digestive system can tolerate?
Dr. Shealy's Essential is the one I like because you get 2 grams of vitamin C, but also a gram of MSM, which doubles the effectiveness of the C.
Okay. Dr. Shealy's Youth Formula. That's what I take, class.
Youth.
Yes, Youth Formula, YOUTH. And 2 grams of vitamin C plus MSM in a gelatin capsule. I take them every day, sometimes many times a day, depending on how I feel. And I also take Dr. Shealy's Essentials. This is not a commercial. This is an endorsement. I take his Essentials. It's a gelatin capsule as well as his Youth Formula. And let's see. And we'll talk about the probiotic component, please, for just a minute or so. When we take probiotics, empty stomach, full stomach, meals in between meals, lots of water, not much water. What's the best way to?
Well, I like them more or less on an empty stomach.
Okay.
But I think it's okay to take them with a meal. It's just I think if you get them in there when there's nothing else competing with them, they're more likely to, get absorbed easily.
Yeah, that was my question. And I guess I was thinking about the stomach acid. Would the stomach acid kill the probiotics?
No.
So should you? Yeah. Okay. All right. So you can take them as you like, class. And should you take them? And I'm talking about the capsule forms. Should you take them once a day, a couple times a day? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think 3 times a day during or right after such an episode.
Okay. All right. Dr. Shealy, thyroid. I was doing some research. I don't have a thyroid problem. No one in the family does that I know of. And what I was learning about this is it's very interesting that it can cause mood swings. Is that right? Or
everything affects everything.
Yeah.
And thyroid is your big number one regulator of metabolic, strength, if you will.
Uh-huh.
And so, obviously, if it's down or up, it's going to have mood swings. You can go either from manic to severe depression.
Huh. Okay. Now, would that affect, when you say manic to severe depression, could that affect someone's purchasing habits? So, for example...
Yes, of course.
Okay. I wonder if there's something in our food that is making people have these mood swings to make them buy more stuff. Is there? Things they don't need?
Well,
things they don't even want?
Again, when your mood's not right, you can do all kinds of odd things, up to committing suicide. I mean, that's when your mood's screwed up, you are screwed up in every possible way.
Okay. Well, what do we do to keep our thyroid running at optimal position?
Well, at the top of my list for everybody, all the time, every day, every month, every week, etc. If they have not trained the brain to detach from the crap you cannot do anything about, well, there's only one thing: plain old autogenic training.
Okay.
If they will do that twice a day for 3 months, it retrains the brain. It puts you in a state where when something goes amok, you can say, okay, can I do that? Oh, can't do it. Detach. And that's what you won't be able to do.
When people hear us discussing detach for the first time, they probably think we're nuts. That's what we're talking about is literally, if you can't do anything about it, why worry about it? The country is in turmoil with people paying attention to the news, things they absolutely can't do anything about, literally. And what Dr. Shealy has been teaching me for years is to detach, separate yourself from it, because you can't fix it. Just put it aside and don't worry about it. And it's so hard to do initially. But then once you get past that, it's really easy to do. So, for example, there are plenty of people who would like to be helped. Well, I can't help everybody, and if I do, it will destroy my health, my family's health, because there are more of them than there are of us, and if they would just pay attention to their own lives, nobody would have to help them. They'd be okay, but they won't. So it's not my problem. I think I said that in a nutshell, right? And our son says it all the time. Our son says it. Oh, he says it all the time. Hey, Dad, it's not my problem. I'll say to him, hey, look at that truck going down the road. Looks like that tire is just about ready to blow. It's running on the rim. It's flat. He'll say, not my problem. As a matter of fact, a couple days ago, he was driving through Marshfield, Missouri, and the guy in front of him's wheel was wobbling. Now, when I say wobbling, I'm talking about eccentric wobble, 2 inches to the left, 2 inches to the right.
Wow.
It wasn't like the wheel was tight. It was like it was falling off, literally. So he pulled up to this guy, rolled down the window, and said, hey, your wheel's falling off. And the guy looks at him and says, yeah, I know. I'm just trying to make it home.
Hey, you got it.
You would think if the wheel is wobbling that much and the whole car is shaking back and forth and the guy's just hanging onto the steering wheel for dear life while the whole car shakes left to right, you would think that he'd pull over to the side of the road where it's safe and take a look at it. Nope.
Now, Vance, you just said the operative word, think. You're assuming that people think.
Well, yeah, actually, and well, I used to. I don't think I do that anymore. Have you heard about this freshman Democrat representative, Katie Hill? Have you heard of her?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, okay. This gal's like early 30s. And she's 32-year-old. I was talking about freshman representative Katie Hill.
Democrat from California, 32-year-old, is pictured on the internet smoking dope, or at least has a bong in her hand, and she's nude. Another picture of her nude, sitting on a chair, legs spread, combing the hair of someone in Congress or an aide or a campaign worker, and she's having a three-way affair with her husband and a female, and she's a female, and she's got a tattoo, and here we go, risky behavior, and she just resigned. 524 more to go. I'm delighted that she is out of Congress, because that's the last thing we need. People who have no set of morals. You know, these are supposed to be our best and brightest, and this is what we get. People were saying that, hey, she might be reelected in California, because what do they know, right? The land of fruits and nuts. But Dr. Shealy, I lost when I started talking about her. Internet went down, bang. I guess you're not allowed to talk about that. I was reading an article about that in the 1920s during the Great Depression. Just before the Great Depression, there was the beginning of censorship in the media, radio and television. And if you towed the line, you got along great. And it continued up until just recently, where now it's just including guys like us talking about what's really happening. And there are very few of us left. It's working. They're shutting down left and right. It looks like we only have a couple hundred views per day on the Internet. We have no idea how many people are listening to us worldwide on Genesis Communications Network and Republic Broadcasting and the archives. And, there are a lot of people listening, but the Internet just shows 200, and that's not true, because we wouldn't be as highly ranked on TalkStream Live if that were true. We wouldn't be listed if that were true. But the world's falling apart. I guess that's what I'm saying, Dr. Shealy.
Well, yeah, I do have one thing to tell people.
Yes.
Detach. Yesterday, I had one of the worst trips I've had in the last 50 years. I arrived in Chicago from Pittsburgh. 2 minutes before we were to board, they say, boarding in 2 minutes. 3 minutes later, they said, oh, go from gate 17 to gate 7 with a different plane. Go to gate 7, wait 40 minutes or so, get on the plane, wait 30 minutes, they can't close the cabin door, we'll get off the plane, wait another hour, go to gate 16. Finally got on a plane and got home. Mm-hmm. My biggest advice is don't fly through Chicago if you can, in or out. It's the worst airport in the world. Mm-hmm. The only one that comes close to it is Paris.
What about flying altogether? You think we should not fly? I don't want to fly. I don't want to be trapped.
Well, I don't have any choice. I can't travel the way I do by car. It would take all my time to get there.
Right.
Come home. So, I take my chances. But what a wonderful opportunity just to detach.
Sure. Our son was traveling for business, and he was outside the state. And this was a while ago. He was outside the state, and our children check in with us, even though they're adults. One's our youngest is almost 30, and the others are in their 30s. But they let us know where they are in case there's a problem, in case we need to come rescue them or whatever. So one of our children called and said, hey, just want to let you know that I'm on a different room from the one I told you in this nice hotel because the plumbing, the sewage line in the plumbing failed. Was dripping raw sewage into my room, and I just want to let you know I'm in a different room. The point I'm trying to make is we think that you look at these nice hotels and motels, clean in the lobby. Who put the plumbing in, and how is it that plumbing fails? How is that possible? Well, it did, and it leaked through the ceiling, leaked into his room, and my concern is, did he get any raw sewage on any of his things that he has to worry about getting some kind of disease from the carelessness of whom? Maybe the person in the room above, maybe the plumber, maybe the maintenance people, I don't know. Just a thought. When we come back, Dr. Shealy, can you tell us What do we do to make sure that we don't succumb to disease from the carelessness of others in a situation like a motel or a hotel when raw sewage is leaking? So we're broadcasting via the telephone because the internet's down, and I was talking about this Congress critter who, it's risky behavior, absolutely risky behavior, and I'm so glad that Congresswoman Hill resigned among all these pictures, and that's the way to take these guys down. That's really clear. I don't know if the internet's going to come back up, so we're going to continue this broadcast with Dr. Shealy for this hour. And if the internet comes back, then and I've reset all of my equipment. It's not here. It's CenturyLink that did this. Dr. Shealy, so I mentioned that our son was traveling, and there was a sewage leak in the room above him in this motel or hotel, wherever he's staying, out of state, and it started leaking into his room. When that happens, what do we do? What do we do to make sure we don't get diseases? And what diseases can we get?
Well, anything. I mean, there are 5,000 dozen different infectious possible diseases. The first thing you do is you carry with you a colloidal silver and take a huge dose of it. Secondly, of course, you carry with you your Dr. Shealy's Youth Formula and all your standard vitamins, and you wash your hands like fierce. I mean, that's the best you could do. You keep yourself healthy all year by spending time training your body, your mind, and your brain to detach from those things you cannot change, getting out of that room as quick as you can when such happens, and you just, detach. The problem is...
when we think about this, we think, that could never happen. Okay, so that happened recently to one of our boys. The other boy was going to a grand opening of a restaurant out your way, and in Missouri, and it was to be tonight. And he got an email saying, it's been postponed or canceled because the city sewer system has a problem, and they cannot open the restaurant because the city sewer system has a failure. So here we are. We're bumping along just fine, and we think, everything's good. And two boys have similar problems, very close to each other, with sewage backing up. One at a hotel or a motel, and the other one to a grand opening at a restaurant. Sewage systems backing up. And of course, California's on fire. The electricity is being shut off. People are dying because they have medical needs, oxygen concentrators and so forth, and they're dying because the electricity fails. And we have been led to believe that you just flush that handle and that sewage goes away. The water goes down the drain, everything's fine, electricity's good. And now we're finding out that's not true. It's not true. The electricity we cannot count on. We can't count on the sewage system working. We can't count on very much at all anymore, Dr. Shealy. We are becoming like a third world country. And if we're not paying, and you were talking about travel, and obviously there were airplane problems, because if there weren't problems, you would have been on the plane and off you would have gone, right?
You bet. I mean, it took 3 planes to get the right one to come home. I mean, I don't know how many of United's airplanes are in that bad shape, but it does show you have to be at least ready to take alternatives.
I remember flying for the bank back in the 80s, 1980s, and I got on a plane for a morning meeting flying from up to upstate New York to go to the corporate headquarters. And we had a stopover to pick up some more passengers on the way, early morning flight, stopped over, landed, and the fire trucks came. And the pilot announced that it's okay. It's, just the wheels are on fire, but it'll be all right. It's some brake fluid that leaked, and they'll be putting them out right away, and we'll get some new tires, and off we go. And, it'll only be 45 minutes, and we got another plane flew, and we had another problem there, and I ended up in Atlanta. I was trying to get near the Canadian border, ended up in Atlanta. I was flying all day. None of the flights were meal flights. And I finally took a bus home And it took, I must have flown thousands of miles and never made my meeting. And so, yeah, this has been going on for quite a while. And I hate being held hostage. That's why I don't want to go to meetings. That's why I don't want to have a job. That's why, for me, if I can't get there by my own vehicle, which I have serviced, I'm not going. For me. But I have cut out all my speaking engagements. I don't want to do them anymore. I just don't. So here we are, and the Internet's down. By the way, UPS is thinking about making drug deliveries with CVS, the pharmacy, to your home. So UPS will get within the last 5 miles. A drone will take the prescriptions to your door and drop them off. Dr. Shealy, that means more electromagnetic radiation in the air, because not only are the UPS trucks driving around and they have communications electronic, but there'll be communications from UPS to the drones, more electromagnetic radiation. Any concerns about that?
Well, obviously, but, again, you just do what you can and you keep on until you go.
Mm-hmm.
Death has never been a worry of mine. I'd like to continue as long as I can helping other people, but dying has never been a fear of mine. I know that I'm okay when I go.
Well, I'm interested in paying more taxes. But what I mean by that is I want to live as long as possible and be with my family and friends as long as possible. Under good circumstances, I'd like to do that. But the more I read the news, the more weird things I see. For example, there was a transgender female, and she's a cross-country runner, 22 years old. She's in Montana, and she was named the Female Conference Athlete of the Week. She won second place. But she's not a she, she's a he. And so he prefers to dress like a female and run a race as a female when previously he was identified as a man. So actually he was a man. Now he calls himself a female, wants to race against females, and it's not fair. It's not fair to have men run against women in races. It's not fair. What are your thoughts about that, Dr. Shealy?
Well, I'm with you all the way on that one. I think that's the greatest bullshit, excuse my language on radio, but all the crap that the left is pushing these days. Those people are sicker than hell, and they don't need to be encouraged to change gender. They need to have past life therapy, get their act together.
Okay. So, it seems to me that we're doing all kinds of things that are not fair. All kinds of things. People who have perversions want to make sure that everybody knows about it, and they want to influence others to join them. And I was thinking that some of this probably comes from the universities, where they're taught, it's okay. Everything's okay. You can change your gender, and if you think you made a mistake, you can change your gender back. Young people, as very young, are encouraged to wear dresses because it makes them feel good, or their mother thinks it makes them feel good. I think we should stop allowing this behavior and express ourselves, those who think that this is wrong, because I don't see how society can continue with deranged behavior, with deviant behavior, with this disruptive behavior. It looks like we're going down every way I can think of, Dr. Shealy.
I agree. And that's one of the reasons I don't turn on television ever.
Right.
I just don't turn it on. I listen to the news coming to and from the clinic, so I am aware, if something really important for me to take care of my life or day is happening, I'll hear it on the news coming to and from work. But other than that, I don't want other people's nonsense in my life.
Right. I agree with you. There's just put an exclamation point on this nonsense. Samsung, the Asian electronic giant, put this big balloon up in the air. And it really wasn't a satellite because it was only about 65,000 feet up. So an airplane, an airliner might fly 35,000 feet. Well, this is twice as high as an airplane would fly, and for good reason, because if they didn't put it up that high, planes would crash into it. Well, what was it? Well, it acted like a satellite, but it was a balloon, and it was so that a person could use a Samsung smartphone, take a selfie picture, and have in the background of this selfie picture the sky, space. So you could see yourself when you take this picture, an image from space. And what a great thing. More stupidity. So we put this Samsung puts this, we'll call it satellite up there, 65,000 feet, and it fell down. And it landed on this guy's property, actually it landed in the power lines. And Samsung said, well, we meant to take it down. You know, that was in our plans. It was supposed to come down, but not so soon. We are doing the dumbest things. I mean, literally, so we could have more backgrounds of pictures of ourselves so that we can send them to our alleged friends. This is beyond stupid. So we're doing more. I don't even know how to explain this, that we put this thing in space just so we could have an image of ourselves to send to our friends. Why?
Hey, man, to me, the only thing you can do is laugh at stupidity. I mean, it's better than crying.
Yeah, that's true. How about this, Dr. Shealy? So your alma mater, there was a Duke. Well, there was I'm having a lot of trouble because the Internet's down. Dr. Sarah Armstrong, a Duke University pediatrics professor and policies lead author, says that children should get weight loss surgery, even some preteens, because we're just getting too fat. So lifelong...
I would cut her neck off.
Well, yeah, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about this, and it doesn't look like the Internet's back. But Dr. Shealy and I will be right back. So, class, there is a Duke University professor recommending getting surgery to lose weight. We'll be right back. CenturyLink, and the Internet is down. I can tell because I reset the router. It's still down. So hopefully it'll be back for tomorrow. Dr. Shealy, we were talking about weight loss, and we're talking about how Duke University pediatrics professor is saying that children should consider weight loss surgery. Their youngest patient is 14 years old. Weight loss surgery is not for everybody, but they're saying that you should consider it. Dr. Shealy?
I would think she needs to be caned in public square.
That's what I was thinking, at least, because can you undo weight loss surgery? Can you?
No.
Okay.
This is beyond crazy. Come on.
Well, I was thinking that how many people 14-year-olds would actually understand what surgery is about? Do they really know? Do they understand the risks of anesthetics, anesthesia? Do they understand the risks of hospital diseases? Do they understand that once this surgery is done, that their life will be changed forever? They won't be able to eat the same kinds of things as much. No soda. I mean, I shouldn't have it anyway, but my understanding is if you have weight loss surgery, you can't have carbonated drinks anymore.
Well, then you can't do a lot of things, and it carries all kinds of risks.
So what actually is cut out? a section of the intestines, a section of the stomach? What actually is cut out?
Well, there's several different things. There's bypass surgery, which they cut out. They bypass a big part of the digestive system, and the other is to actually remove part of either remove it or bypass it. But it doesn't matter. It's stupid.
Okay, so if they remove part of the stomach, that means you can't eat as much, right? That means you have to eat more often?
Yeah.
And if they remove part of the intestines, then your absorption potential is less for the nutrients, correct?
That's just a small part of the damage, yes.
And so what would be some of the lifelong complications that a person would enjoy as a result of not being able to close their mouth?
I don't think there's any. I think bypass surgery is not quite as bad as gender surgery, but it's stupid.
Well, I know a guy who was in the 500-pound neighborhood, and he was so big that when he came to our house, we had a 36-inch wide door. He would have to go through sideways, to fit through the door. And I'm not exaggerating. He could not see his shoes, so he could not tie his shoes. This sounds like I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding. He could not reach his shoes to tie them, so he'd have to kind of slip them on. It would be freezing, sleeting, snowing, and he'd be in shorts because he was hot all the time. But I saw him at an event, and he sat on two folding chairs side by side because he was that big. And he had huge plates of food, huge. Each one was twice as much as I could eat in the first place. But so he had 4 times as much as I would eat. He ate a lot, and in order to reduce weight, he had bariatric surgery. And literally, he lost weight. He became half the guy he used to be, down to maybe 275, 250. Well, he didn't realize, and no one told him, that he would not be able to eat big meals. He would not be able to have certain foods like sodas, and that this would go on forever. This isn't, as long as he lived. This was not, some temporary thing, and that it was not reversible. So I have a feeling that if he thought about it and he said to himself, I could just close my mouth and eat less, he could have avoided all that. Why don't people do that, Dr. Shealy? Why don't they just shut their mouth and eat less?
You just no common sense.
Okay.
Common sense is common.
If the typical meal is, let's say, 1,000 calories, and he was eating 4 times that, 3 times a day, I guess that's the explanation for his massive size. Well,
yeah.
He didn't get much exercise because he was too big for that.
Well, he didn't have enough common sense to live, really.
Yeah. And you know what happened? The weight slowly came back on.
Of course.
So he did all that damage, paid that money, lost the weight, and slowly put it right back on. Well, Dr. Shealy, I really appreciate being with us. It's been really frustrating for me at this end. I'm sure for you, because of the outage that we've had, nothing's working here. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.
Have a good one, Vince.
Thank you, Dr. Shealy.